The jungle air is thick with the smell of gunpowder and wet earth. Rain slicks the green fronds of a massive palm, each drop reflecting the distant orange glow of an explosion. A young Marine huddles in a muddy foxhole, his knuckles white as he grips the wooden stock of his M1 rifle. His helmet, scratched and caked with dirt, sits low over his eyes. Sweat and rainwater mingle on his brow, tracing paths through the grime on his face. Around him, the chaos of the Pacific War rages. Muzzle flashes strobe through the dense foliage like demonic fireflies. The deafening chatter of machine guns is answered by the sharp crack of enemy rifles. A radio operator beside him screams into his handset, his voice raw with desperation. His words are a frantic jumble of coordinates and pleas for support. He slams the handset down, his face a mask of terror. The enemy is on the line. They hear everything. Every plan, every retreat, every call for help is intercepted, deciphered, and turned against them. The air crackles with the certainty of death. But then, a new voice cuts through the static. It is calm, steady, and utterly alien. It flows like a river, a string of sounds with no recognizable beginning or end. In a Japanese listening post miles away, a headphones-clad officer leans forward, his brow furrowed in confusion. He adjusts the dial, straining to catch a familiar syllable, a pattern, a single clue. There is nothing. It is not code, not as they know it. It is something else entirely. Something ancient. Something unbreakable. To understand this weapon, we must travel back from the blood-soaked beaches of the Pacific. We go to the gleaming, hopeful shores of California, years earlier. The wreckage of Pearl Harbor still smokes in the American consciousness, a scar on the nation's pride. The United States is a giant wounded and now awakened, stumbling into a global conflict it is terrifyingly unprepared for. In the war rooms, a quiet panic is setting in. The Japanese have proven to be masters of cryptology. They are breaking American military codes with chilling speed and efficiency. Every command sent over the airwaves is a potential death sentence for the men on the ground. The need for a new code, a truly secure code, is not just strategic, it is a matter of survival. The answer will not come from a university laboratory or a top-secret government facility. It will come from the mind of one man, a man who grew up in a world far from Washington, D.C. His name is Philip Johnston. He is not a soldier, but the son of a missionary. An image forms of a small, fair-haired boy, sitting cross-legged on the red earth of the Navajo Nation. He is surrounded by Navajo children, his ears filled with the complex, tonal sounds of their language, a language he learns to speak fluently. He sees the vast, empty landscapes, the canyons carved by wind and time, and understands a culture woven into the very fabric of this land. Now, as an adult, a civil engineer in Los Angeles, Johnston reads the headlines of broken codes and mounting casualties. An idea, born from his unique childhood, ignites in his mind. He sees a path forward, a weapon hidden in plain sight. He walks with grim determination up the stone steps of the Camp Elliott Marine Corps Base in San Diego. He stands in a polished office before stern-faced officers, their uniforms crisp, their expressions laced with skepticism. He lays out his audacious proposal. The Navajo language, he explains, is an unwritten tongue of extreme complexity. Its syntax and tonal qualities are a fortress, almost impossible for an outsider to learn, let alone decipher under pressure. He tells them it is a language known to fewer than 30 non-Navajos in the entire world. The officers exchange doubtful glances. The fate of the war in the Pacific resting on an ancient tribal language. The idea seems preposterous. But desperation is a powerful motivator. They agree to a test. The scene shifts to the windswept mesas of Arizona and New Mexico. Sunlight bakes the cracked earth, and the sky is a vast, endless blue. Marine recruitment vehicles, kicking up clouds of red dust, roll into the heart of the Navajo Nation. Stern-faced recruiters in sharp uniforms step out, their polished boots a stark contrast to the soft moccasins of the tribal elders who greet them. Word spreads from Hogan to Hogan. A call has come. Young Navajo men, their faces etched with a quiet solemnity, gather to listen. They are shepherds. Farmers, men of the earth, their hands calloused from work, their lives dictated by the seasons. They are told their language is needed to fight an enemy across the great water. Their language, the very tongue they were once punished for speaking in government-run boarding schools, is now being called a weapon. A flicker of resolve passes through the crowd. One by one, they step forward. They say goodbye to their families, their quiet lives, and the sacred land that holds their history. The first group is comprised of 29 young men. They are the originals. They board buses watching their canyons and mesas shrink in the distance, replaced by an unfamiliar world of pavement and steel. At boot camp, the transformation is brutal and swift. Long black hair, a symbol of their heritage, is shorn away by buzzing clippers, falling to the floor. Their familiar clothes are replaced by the stiff, olive-drab uniform of the United States Marine Corps. They are forged in the crucible of Marine training, pushed to their physical and mental limits. They are no longer just Navajo, they are Marines. Then the real work begins. The original 29 are led into a guarded, windowless room. The door is locked behind them. Here they are tasked not with firing rifles, but with building a new lexicon of war. A blackboard fills with chalk-written Navajo words. They must create an unbreakable code from the building blocks of their mother tongue. It cannot be a simple one-to-one translation. That would be too easy to crack. They devise a two-layer system. For common military terms, they assign poetic, descriptive Navajo words. A tank, with its hard shell, becomes a turtle, Chedagai. A dive bomber, swooping from the sky, becomes a chicken hawk, Genie. A battleship is a whale, Lutso. A submarine becomes an iron fish, Bishlu. For spelling out unfamiliar names or places, they create a Navajo alphabet. The letter is represented by the Navajo word for ant, Wulachi. B is the word for bear, Shush. C is the word for cat, Mosi. The words are spoken, debated, and memorized, a secret language within a secret language. They practice relentlessly, their voices filling the small room, sending and receiving mock messages with lightning speed. They are becoming living, breathing encryption machines. The vast gray expanse of the Pacific Ocean churns below a transport ship. The Navajo Marines stand at the rail, the sea salt misting their faces, their homeland a distant memory. They land on beaches torn apart by war. The sand of Guadalcanal, Saipan, Iwo Jima. The idyllic paradise of postcards is a nightmare of splintered palm trees, smoking craters, and the constant hum of insects mixed with the whine of bullets. Here, in the heart of the inferno, their moment arrives. A code talker scrambles into a foxhole, the heavy radio pack digging into his shoulders. He pulls the headset over his ears, the microphone close to his lips. Artillery shells scream overhead, shaking the very ground beneath him. He takes a steadying breath, his face a mask of intense concentration. The voice of his commander crackles in his ear, relaying coordinates for an enemy machine gun nest. The code talker presses the transmit button. He does not speak English. He speaks the sacred words of his people. The sounds of the dying language, born in the peaceful canyons of the Southwest, now echo across the battlefield. A torrent of syllables, tones, and guttural stops pours into the microphone. Miles away, on a command ship rocking in the turbulent sea, another code talker listens. His fingers fly across a notepad, his ear translating the river of sound back into the cold, hard logistics of war. Enemy position, grid coordinates, artillery fire requested. The entire message, from transmission to decryption, takes less than 30 seconds. A complex message that would take a mechanical coding machine half an hour to process is now relayed in the time it takes to draw a breath. American artillery roars to life. Shells arc across the sky and obliterate the enemy position. Lives are saved. The advance continues. On every island, in every major engagement, the pattern repeats. The code talkers are the central nervous system of the Marine Corps in the Pacific. They coordinate troop movements, call in air strikes, and direct naval bombardments with flawless accuracy and unparalleled speed. The Japanese listening posts are driven to madness. They record the transmissions, playing them over and over. To their expert cryptographers, the sounds are gibberish. Some believe it is a fabricated language. Others think the Americans are somehow speaking to the animals of the jungle. They never come close. The code is never, ever broken. The war in the Pacific is a brutal slog, a bloody struggle for every inch of volcanic rock and jungle. On Iwo Jima, in the first 48 hours of the assault, 6 Navajo Code Talkers work around the clock, sending and receiving over 800 messages without a single error. Their voices cut through the fog of war, a lifeline of clarity in the midst of pure chaos. The American flag is finally raised on Mount Suribachi, a moment of triumph made possible by the quiet, unbreakable words spoken into 1,000 radios. The war ends. Mushroom clouds rise over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The world celebrates a hard-won peace. The Code Talkers return home, not to parades or public accolades, but to strict, sworn silence. Their code, the military decides, is too valuable a weapon to be made public. It is classified top secret. They are ordered to speak of their service to no one. Not their wives, not their children, not their fellow tribesmen. They carry the weight of their heroic deeds as a silent burden. They go back to herding sheep, to farming the land, to raising families, the incredible truth locked away in their hearts. Years turn into decades. The world changes. The Cold War waxes and wanes. Finally, in 1968, the secret is declassified. The story can be told. We see the faces of the Code Talkers now, lined with age, their hair turned to silver. They are old men, gathered together, sharing stories for the first time. A hand, wrinkled with time, touches a congressional gold medal, its surface gleaming under the light. There's pride in their eyes, a quiet dignity that speaks of their long silence. They were young men who used their ancient heritage to defend a nation that had not always treated them with honor. Their language, once a source of shame in the eyes of the government, became one of the most critical and decisive weapons in the Second World War. They were the Navajo Code Talkers, and their words won the war. Tell me your favorite war story I should talk about next. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video.